Well, Trump's new border guy is not messing around. He really means business. Let's listen to what he has to say here.
Are you planning on deporting American citizens?
No, exactly not. Look, the view, it's like the island of misfit toys. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. President Trump has made it clear. We will prioritize public safety threats and national security threats first. And that's what the focus will be. And there's over 1.5 convicted criminal aliens in this country with final orders removal that we're going to be looking for.
Holy.
There's thousands of gang members, illegal alien gang members we're going to be looking for. Now, I'm going to say, if you're in the country illegally, you
Better
shouldn't
watch
feel
out.
comfortable. Absolutely not. I won't feel comfortable if I'm in the country illegally. If I'm in some other country illegally, I'm not going to be comfortable. You shouldn't be comfortable either, because when you enter this country illegally, you have committed a crime. You are a criminal, and you're not off the table.
Oh yeah,
Are you planning on
this guy means business. I'm glad they put somebody in charge of the border that actually means business. So stuff is actually going to happen. I actually like how all the Trump's guys, they all really mean business. They actually do what what they say they're gonna do. And most of them, I mean, not all of them, of course. Let's listen to this other one here from. This one's pretty good too.
From there.
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman, with
family.
all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
She gets put in her place.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way.
Do it the legal way.
The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
She doesn't know what to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Earlier, my colleague from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, asked the panel how many people here believe that child separation is an effective policy in deterrence. And no one on the panel raised their hand. I just wanted to note that for the record, Mr. Chair. I wanted to ask a question from Professor Mukherjee. Is the United States violating or violated human rights agreements set by the United Nations in a family separation policy?
Yes. International law is clear that family unity should be prioritized.
So we, as members of the United Nations, signed on into an international human rights agreement saying very clearly that family separation is a violation of international human rights, and then we pursued a policy that violates human rights. Mr. Chair, I was looking, how did we get to this point? How did we get to this point where we take children out of mothers' and fathers' arms? And, it dated back, family separation in the way that we have seen it, where we take children away from their parents without due process, began last year under Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, but I had to dig further. And our staff dug further. But where did this start within the administration? She implemented it. And we found a memo. It dates back to April 23rd of 2018, where there was an official recommendation to, quote, pursue prosecution of all amenable adults who cross our border, quote, illegally, even though this applied to legal asylum seekers in practice, including those presenting with a family unit between ports of entry in coordination with DOJ. Here is the memo that I would like to submit to the congressional record.
What is the name of that?
It is the memorandum for the Secretary from Homeland Security.
Date.
April 23rd, 2018, subject increasing prosecutions of immigration violations.
Without objection.
And so I looked at this memo, and it seems like this is the source of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems as though, Mr. Homan, that you are the author. It says here from
Let's
yourself,
hear what you have to say about this.
Kevin Mikulinen, and Francis Cisna. Is this correct? Did you sign the memo?
I'd have to see what you...
Give him
I'd be happy to provide it. And we'll provide it over, but I would like to note that here it says the official recommendation. There were 3 different options presented. The third included the option for family separation, this initiative would pursue prosecution of all amenable adults, including those presenting with a family unit. Mr. Holman, your name is on this. Is this correct?
Yes, I signed that memo.
So you are the author of the family separation policy.
I am not the author of this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes,
Signed it.
a zero tolerance memo.
So you provided the official recommendation to
He's not gonna
Secretary
mess
Nielsen
around.
on family for the United States to pursue family separation.
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation, of the many that you recommended,
the
you
border
recommended
at all
family
costs.
separation,
I recommend a zero tolerance.
which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
That's right. Oops.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to
doesn't
be
matter.
separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman, with all
family.
due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking
tell 'em.
asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay. Mr. Chair, the memo is submitted to the record for review. Inspector General Costello, one last thing. Is there a record, based on reports throughout the year, and in our hearing earlier this year, we spoke with Ms. Juarez, a mother who lost her child due to inhumane conditions in the facilities. We learned that there is no accurate record and no policy being held of people who are pregnant and people who endure miscarriages. Is there a record of who enters and leaves these facilities?
I'm not familiar with the instance you're talking about, but I do believe the facilities keep custody logs and logs, but I'm not familiar with the incident you're talking about.
And where would we find those records?
I believe all the facilities keep them on site, CBP and ICE facilities.
And if you believe that the records are not accessible, or if we find that the records are not accessible, do you believe the committee should seek to request records from DHS on the location of children and those that are detained?
Well, we would never opine about what the committee would request and not request, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Holman, the actions you took when you were director of ICE were entirely consistent with the law of the land, weren't they?
Yes.
Yes, when someone's prosecuted for a crime, the child can't go to jail with the parent.
Yep.
That happens to American families every day.
Yeah, and if we,
That's the thing.
as you said, I think earlier, if we don't like the law, last time I checked, it's the folks sitting up here got to change it.
Yeah.
And you've offered, I think, no more than 4 times, 3 changes to the law that would help the situation. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Maybe make it a 5th time. Can you say it a 5th time for this group? Just, because, again, we're the ones that have to change the law. So give us that recommendation a 5th time, the 3 things that we got to do.
If we would close the loopholes in the TVPRA, where children in Central America are treated the same as children in Mexico, if we would change the Flores settlement agreement so we can actually detain families in family setting long enough to see a judge and plead their case, if we can change the rules of asylum so it makes more sense so 90% of the people don't pass the first interview and a lot fewer pass in front of a judge, those 3 things would make a big difference on the border and decrease the illegal entry.
Because those
Seems
3
like they all
things go to
make
the heart of
sense.
the matter. They go to the incentive. Is that right?
They go to incentive along with the other things, such as talking about abolishing ICE, having no detention, free education,
Yeah.
free medical care, citizenship for those who are here illegally. When you keep offering incentives for people to come, sanctuary cities, come to this country, you'll be protected from ICE. As long as you keep having this
those
language,
kind of
more people
statements-
who are
those kind of-
vulnerable people are going to keep trying to come.
Those kind of statements made by Democrats in the United States Congress or in positions of influence in this country, they have an impact, don't they?
They have a significant impact.
When a
and-
member of Congress says abolish ICE, when another member of Congress says abolish DHS, when the Speaker of the House says walls are immoral, when the person who gave the State of the Union response to the President's State of the Union says she's okay with non-citizens voting, that all has an impact, doesn't it?
Non-citizens
Just like the
voting.
laws that you're sworn
That's
to
a joke.
uphold and impact and do when you're the director of ICE?
It has a significant impact, and if this would have been fixed years ago, we probably wouldn't have seen zero tolerance. We wouldn't see the conditions on the border
But
today.
because the laws haven't been changed, because of the statements that have been made, there was a crisis. There is a crisis on the border. That just didn't happen yesterday. Right? You think about this. There was a crisis. The administration asks for help. Democrats say it's contrived, it's manufactured, it's fake, it's not real. Then when the crisis, the real crisis, gets actually worse, the Democrats blame the administration for the very crisis they helped create by the things they said and the fact it won't change the law.
Of course.
But somehow it's your problem.
Of course.
Somehow it's the president's problem. And we have Ms. Costello, who went down there, her team went down there and looked this all over as the inspector general. Said there's some concerns that she has, and the cause of the concerns they're trying to ascertain. Now, she also said agents are doing, I think your statement was, agents are doing their level best. Is that right, Ms. Costello?
That's the experience of our inspectors.
So the
visits.
inspector general goes down there with your team, and you conclude the agents, the people that Mr. Holman used to represent, are doing their darn best they can do, but they're overwhelmed. And then you also said in your statement, in your answers a few minutes ago, you're trying to ascertain the cause. Well, that's pretty simple to figure out the cause. It's the numbers.
Hell yeah.
In October,
They're crazy.
60,000 apprehensions and inadmissibles on the border, October of last year. You know what it was in May of this year? 144,000.
Holy.
We know
144,000 people. Oof.
the cause. They're all coming. And they're coming because things the other side's saying, and the fact we won't change three fundamental things in the law. And it also might help, Mr. Holman, it also might help, because these are the ones that, these are apprehensions, these people presenting themselves at ports of entry. It also might help if we build a border security wall, right? Instead of having the Speaker of the House say they're immoral, even though there's one in her state, it might actually help if we built the border security wall that the American people voted this president in office to do. It might actually help if we did that. Would you agree, Mr. Holman?
Absolutely. Every place they built a border barrier,
Absolutely.
every single place they built a border barrier, illegal immigration decreased.
Yeah, it would help with some of the tragic things that we have heard about, tragic situations that we've heard about the last couple of days, this entire week in this committee, that no one wants to see happen. The young mother who lost her daughter, it's tragic. No one wants those, but if we did the things you're talking about, we could help avoid some of those kind of incidents from happening in the future. Is that right, Mr. Holman?
Built the
Yeah,
wall.
if I can respond
And
to
you're
that.
the guy who has lived it, breathed it, felt it, managed it. You know more than you have more expertise in this area than anyone in this room. Is that right?
I believe so, but let me
I know
respond.
so.
Let me respond to the one child that died. It's tragic, tragic.
Sure is.
But you know what? As long as we're showing a lot of pictures, if I can have just 30 seconds. Here's a picture. Her name is Serenity. She was 9 months old, 9 months, raped and murdered by an illegal alien because of open borders policy.
Yep.
Here's Irana. She was 5 years old, raped repeatedly and murdered by an illegal alien. Here's Louise Solowin. She was 93, multiple rapes and murdered by an illegal alien. Here's a 16-year-old. Here's a law enforcement officer. I got hundreds of these in my desk drawer.
Hundreds.
So I've seen tears for people today, and I understand that. It's tragic when anybody dies. But let's not forget the angel moms and dads who I've all met and got to know. Their children died, and they're separated forever.
Hell yeah.
It's not a matter of location. They're dead. And a secure border would help prevent some of this. Sanctuary cities does not help this. Sanctuary
definitely
cities,
for the border.
this will increase because of the push of sanctuary cities. Come to our country, we'll protect you. You can even commit a crime, be in our county jail. We're not going to ice into the jail. So he'll go out, recidivism rates, anybody can look them up. 50% reoffend the first year, up to 75 recidivate within 5 years.
So true. We should check out this other Fox News with him in it.
Years. You were a big cop.
Of course you have.
Bad for us. We lose you. Work with the president to come up with this job description. So let's hear from him. In his first interview after the major announcement, incoming border czar, Tom Holman. Tom, congratulations to you. It's bad for us. We lose you as a contributor. What went into the decision and the position?
Well, look, I've been on this network 4 years complaining about what this administration did to this border. I've been yelling and screaming about it, telling them what they need to do to fix it. So when the president asked me, would you come back and fix it? Of course I have to. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't. So, look, I'm honored the president asked me to come back and help solve this national security crisis. So I'm looking forward to it. And look, I love Fox. I love the
think he's
family
going to do
there.
great.
But I think that the calling is clear. I got to go back and help because every
Like in
morning
New
I
York
get
right
up,
now, it's
every
just
morning
insane.
I'm pissed off about what this administration did to the most secure border in my lifetime. So I'm going to go back and do what I can to fix it.
So, Tom, let's talk about the job, because you're not an amateur. You've been doing this for years. You're a beat cop. Also, you worked the border before, went over to ICE. You've done it all. What does the process look like? Because I think some people get the impression that you're shooting from your hip, but you know what you're doing here, right?
I know exactly what I'm doing. And look, this is the second time I get out of retirement for this president. And because it matters. And look, I was a Border Patrol agent. I wore that uniform, and I'm proud that I wore that uniform. So, and I was an ICE agent. I was the first ICE director that actually came up through the ranks. So the 20,000 men and women that worked for me, I didn't ask them to do anything. I had to do
This
myself.
is not
I
the
was
video
one.
I was looking
So
for.
look, I know the border, and I know there's a lot of great patriots. Look, I shut my phone off Friday night because I couldn't handle the phone calls, the texts, and emails from thousands of ICE agents and Border Patrol agents excited about the rumor I'm coming back. But more importantly, that thousands of retired agents, retired Border Patrol agents, retired military that want to come in and volunteer to help this president secure the border and do the deportation operation. So I've been off the grid for 3 years.
This video. It's pretty cool.
Just a quick point on the attitude of these Democrat governors.
Deportation program. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey is already declaring that her state will not comply.
Yeah.
If the Trump administration requests it, would the Massachusetts State Police assist in mass deportations?
But they've ordered Trump.
No, absolutely not. Every tool in the toolbox has got to be used to protect our citizens, to protect our residents, and protect our states, and certainly to hold the line on democracy and the rule of law.
But the president-elect's newly named border czar, Tom Homan, says he won't be stopped by sanctuary cities or states.
And look, I've seen some of these Democratic governors say they're going to stand in the way. They're going to make it hard for us. Well, a suggestion: if you're not going to help us, get the hell out of the way, because we're going to do it.
Get the hell out of the way.
We can't get assistance from New York City, and we may have to double the number of agents we send in New York City, because we're going to do the job. We're going to do the job without you or with you. But
I like that.
And Homan defended the president-elect's deportation plan, saying that it puts our national security first.
President Trump has made it clear.
Yeah. He's going to do great, guys. Can't wait to see him in action.